All right, Bob, we'll see you then. Tomorrow marks the 20th anniversary of the September 11th attacks. Hard to believe it's been 20 years, and several lawmakers are calling on Congress to pass a 9/11 Responder and Survivor Act. Now, this would ensure funding now and in the future for 9/11 responders and survivors who were hurt.
And we've made it a passion to see that this third group of heroes at least gets both the compensation and health care they need, because their heroism should be acknowledged and appropriately rewarded. We cannot forget them.
Now, this act would also study possible psychological trauma of about 35,000 children who lived or attended school in the disaster areas. Well, many other people here in the upstate are remembering that day our country was tested but did not falter. Fox Carolina's Carrie Weimer went out and talked to folks about that day. She's over at the Boiling Springs Fire Department, our neighbor here on Pelham Road, with more.
This is a piece of a steel beam that came from the World Trade Center towers. It stands here in a permanent memorial so that people won't forget what happened on 9/11. Of course, that day being burned forever in America's history. Now tomorrow, with it being 20 years since that day happened, we know it's still a vivid memory for many. So we went out to ask what you were doing on the day the world stood still.
I had just started a new job.
I was 3 years old when 9/11 happened.
I remember exactly where I was. I was in my boss's office at a former job.
I was sitting in my office at the police department in Fountain Inn, and one of my sergeants came in and told me, hey Chief, a plane just flew into one of the World Trade Center towers.
My mom's just like, these buildings are on fire in New York. My dad's like, what are you talking about?
And they had a small TV, and we were all gathered around that and stood there and, ultimately watched the buildings fall.
I was thinking, oh my God, all those people that are in danger, not just in the building, but around the building.
We were at home just watching what happened on the news, and it just broke our hearts.
You started to hear rumblings around the office that the first plane had hit.
There goes the second building, and we're watching mayhem happen together as a family.
We certainly realized then it wasn't an accident and that we were under attack.
I'm from New York, New Jersey, so it was just my first thought was, is my family okay?
So we were scared. We didn't know what this meant for us. We didn't know what it meant for the people up there, what it meant for the country.
The internet was fairly new back then, so we're all rushing to computers to try to get an update and see what's going on, and the internet was pretty much shut down. You couldn't get anything.
Your family's calling, wanting to know, everything okay? What's going on? What do you know?
You were just at a loss. You wondered, well, should I stay at work? Should I go home? What do I do? I feel like I need to be with my family.
Still get chills from it.
I wanted to sign back up and go back into service and fight just as hard to find the people who done it and take part in that.
It was just sort of a moment of disbelief and helplessness.
You just felt like your life was going to be changed from that point forward.
We have this belief that in America, especially prior to 9/11, that can't happen to us. And since it has happened, now it's just like we won't let that happen to us again.
USA! 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 Right here tomorrow morning, the Boiling Springs Fire Department is going to hold its annual ceremony to remember the attacks that happened on 9/11. That ceremony is going to start promptly at 8:46 a.m. Of course, that's the time the first plane flew into the North Towers. I'll send it back to you at the station.
And another local event in the upstate, a First Responders Parade was held this afternoon. First responders from Landrum, Campobello, and Inman communities were honored. It was all at O.P. Earl Elementary and Landrum Middle School.
So I certainly hope that this day can become a tradition of honoring and celebrating those first responders who sacrifice their selves for us. But I hope that we would honor them every day, not just on 9/11.
And during the event, students were able to wave American flags as first responders went by. Fox Carolina will have continuing coverage as the nation marks 20 years since the 9/11 attacks. You can find more on the national and local ceremonies happening inside our news app and on foxcarolina.com.